Dr. James Schwarz joining us now. He's the superintendent over at Avondale School District. Thank you for being with us.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, all the way back in March. I'm sure you didn't think that we would still be in this position at the end of 2020.
No, you're right about that. So your comments about 2020, no one's going to miss it. We're certainly going to see, or we're certainly glad to see it go.
But with that, it's still going to be quite some time before we actually get back to life as we once used to know it.
Mm-hmm.
How are things standing with you and your district right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're still holding our own with the remote instruction that we've been in through this duration. We are will be coming back in seat when the Oakland County Health Department risk level reaches a level C. Right now, we're at a level E, and epidemiologists are telling us from a projection standpoint that perhaps end of January, beginning of February, we could begin to transcend out of that level E and start getting into some higher levels that will allow us to come back. I mean, the thing about it is trying to operate in-seat school when the volume of cases is greater than a level C makes it so that you can't operate your programs. You don't have the staff because everybody's quarantining because they've either been positive themselves or they've been around somebody who has been positive and they have to quarantine, which makes it very, very difficult from an in-seat perspective to operate. That's why our board said, well, when we get to a level C, we'll have relative assurance at that point that the volume of cases will be low enough to where we can operate our programs without consistent interruptions.
I think that was one of the things that was so hard is if you open, then someone's exposed. And what's so hard for the parents is the back and forth and the lack of consistency. So for them, it might be easier to plan your life knowing that we are not going to be in class. But you also know from a child standpoint, in-person learning is so much better.
Absolutely. And we know from districts that have, attempted to go back in seat, and we've learned from the frustrations of those parents whose students were in one week and out the next, and then in and then out. And that lack of consistency is very hard on students. So having the consistency, even though the consistency is remote, in our opinion, is better than the constant back and forthness that comes in the situation we're in. But yeah, the social aspects certainly are difficult. And, we hear from parents that is probably the number one concern with the amount, with remote going on as long as it has. And so, when we're looking to bring back students, for instance, our special education students or our highest needs special education students first, we brought them back this week, actually, 2 days a week. And then following the holiday break, first week of January, we'll be bringing back more special education students. So we're trying to ease ourselves back into that in-seat on a very gradual continuum, starting with the kids who are affected the greatest, which is that population.
So we have a vaccine now. Moderna looks like it's going to be approved, and that could start getting shipped out across the country as early as Monday. When you hear the news of a vaccine, how does that play into your planning?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're hoping that it accelerates us getting out of the county risk levels sooner. The more people that become vaccinated or have access to that vaccination, hopefully will get us to where we can be in seat sooner than later. So we're encouraged by that. We'll see how quickly that both of these companies can produce to meet the needs of the masses. And the sooner they can do that, obviously, the better. We're hearing that it could be late winter, early spring, when it becomes more widely available to, I'll say the common community member.
Yeah, and I know that it's very early in the vaccination process, but are you starting to have any types of conversations that could possibly retire or require some employees to be vaccinated to come back to the classroom because it's not approved for kids yet?
Yeah. So yeah, we're beginning to have those conversations about, do you require it? Do you not require it? Do you require it only of certain, employee groups versus others? So yeah, those conversations have started. And, obviously with anything, there's pros and cons on both sides. If you require it, if you don't require it. And, we're looking at what legal advice we're getting to substantiate whatever decision making we're going in. So amongst the county superintendents, that's a conversation piece that we're having currently.
It's one of those things, it's so hard to be able to balance all of these issues. When we started at the beginning of this, so many different decisions have been put into place. What do you think is going to stick around once this is over, if it ever really gets over?
Well, I'll say it that this experience hasn't been all bad. There has been certainly things that experiences that we have gone through that we have learned from, and I think that will carry forward. I think that certainly as we approach instruction, um, I think that there are ways that we will modify our instruction moving forward, knowing kind of where we've been over these last few months. I certainly think technology is going to be a greater part of the regular classroom when students come back. I think technology will play a lot larger of a role in the everyday education of students. Certainly not all day, every day, like it has been when you're entirely remote. But I do think that some of the technological programs and some of the things, activities that we've been doing will continue once we're in seat as a way to supplement the curriculum or even as to deliver parts of the curriculum in certain cases.
Some of the teachers have been so creative during this pandemic and trying to be able to reach their students as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah, very creative. And the programs, the different types of software that's out there to lend themselves to that creativity have just gotten better and better and better. And so I think a lot of that is here to stay, and it'll be absorbed and intertwined with the in-seat classroom work once students return.
So let me ask you, and I don't know if this is even what's happening in today's schools because I don't have any kids. So I have a dog, and she's enough for me to handle. But when it comes to kids, like, do you think because of the technology, like maybe the good old-fashioned textbook goes away because you can now, get a textbook online, right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you'll see a lot of those print resources, such as textbooks and workbooks and those types of things are on the way out. I think we're going to see a lot more that are going to be electronic, especially now since we have students that are one-to-one on devices. Since we've been able to provide that, it really doesn't, you don't need to buy a textbook. A lot of, if you've got computers in every kid's hands now, that becomes your tool. So I see that will be going away probably sooner than later.
Yeah, I just remember like, because I live close to the schools here and you see the teens walking like their backpacks were either just jam packed, but some of them went as far as getting those rolling backpacks because
Yeah.
their textbooks weighed so much.
And I still think you're going to have resource materials. You're still going to have books, but I don't think you're going to have the big textbook type of thing. It's going to be, you'll have a series of print resources that'll accentuate what you're doing online.
So we're about to go into the holiday break. Any message that you want to get out to your students and your staff while we have you here?
Well, the messages I would give for the holidays would be the messages that we're all hearing, and that is to play it smart and to play it safe, because the smarter and safer that we are over these next couple of weeks in regards to social distancing and mask wearing and all of that, even though it's so hard at the holidays. But the more that we can abide by that, the quicker we'll all be back in school.
Everyone wants that. With that too, what about the students? How are you guys handling like lunches? Are you still handing out lunches to some of the kids?
So food distribution, we still have ongoing. We have 2 days a week where we're delivering to community. So they get a hot lunch as well as food to take with them, grocery type items. So that is happening at 2 of our school buildings a couple days a week, and that will continue at least for the next several weeks.
So with that, anything that we didn't touch on, Superintendent, that you want to share with anyone before we let you go?
No, I think you covered a lot of it. I just want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. And again, the smarter we play it, the sooner we'll be back in school. So we can't deliver that message enough.
I should have sent you an email prior to let you know it's National Ugly Sweater Day, because yours is
Right.
very nice. It doesn't qualify.
I like that though. It's very festive. It's very nice.
It used to light up, but it seems to be malfunctioning today.
Very nice.
Well, Superintendent, it's been great having you with us here on the MegaCast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Happy holidays
Sure.
to
You too.
you and your family and the entire team over there at the Avondale School District.
And same to all of you. Thank you so much.